Hello beautiful people, welcome to your practical application of astrology. This might or might not be the last one from Slovakia. However, I decided to record one today because it's a beautiful day, unusually warm, and it just feels to be a right time to talk, so why not today. Moon is still in the sign of Libra. Actually today when I'm recording this, we are experiencing the Mercury-Uranus opposition, and tomorrow Moon will be moving to the sign of Scorpio. Tomorrow is Halloween, so that will be all in preparation for the upcoming new moon in Scorpio, and I'm sure everybody is feeling that. And people might be wondering what happened with my previous practical application of astrology, which was up and about for about 24 hours and then it disappeared. If people really want to see it again, I can always re-upload it. Maybe I should have just put it in a private mode or something without deleting it, but I just, after watching it, didn't feel that it was the right energy to put out there into the world, because the video was created after a conversation which was very charged and impacted me in a very heavy way, and I didn't feel that I was a pure channel recording that video. And even though it was an authentic expression of an aspect of myself, especially the wounded aspect of myself, I didn't necessarily feel that was the right or helpful energy to put out into the world. And also a lot of things that I said could definitely be challenged by people who are professionals in certain fields, and that was not necessarily how they would perceive them. So anyway, so I decided to remove that video because it just didn't feel right for me to have it out there. The video still exists. So like I said, if there was a huge demand for it to be re-uploaded, it could happen. But for now, I'm just going to leave it there. But I did want to address it just in case people are wondering. But I'm going to move on from now, from that moment. So in the past week, actually, after I released and deleted that video, I started becoming very sick physically, which is very interesting because I never ever get sick. I'm usually very fortunate. I'm very fortunate, very grateful to my body to be healthy. I do treat my body well, the way I eat and exercise every day. Also try to sleep enough and all the rest of it, but I just been feeling very, very unwell since about Friday last week especially, I am feeling better now, and just moving through the days, waiting for my flight to Mexico, to be honest, now that I'm almost fully packed and ready to go, but there is still this awful headache that I'm experiencing almost every single day, and I'm just observing what all of this might mean for me. Why is my body behaving in this way? And this is pretty much the topic that I wanted to share and discuss and talk about, because this is something that many other people might be experiencing at the moment, not necessarily a physical ailment, even though that could be a part of it, but how with this 29 degrees Pluto in Capricorn, and especially now being a Scorpio season and just about to hit Scorpio New Moon, during which Pluto and Mars will be in opposition. All the rest of it that's going on there in the sky, which is a lot, especially the day and 2 days after the new moon on the 2nd and 3rd of November. We're going to have an avalanche of aspects becoming exact. So there is so much energy that's moving at the moment, and this is all with Pluto on 29 degrees of Capricorn, because Pluto is not moving just yet, not until 19th of November. So we'll have one more lunation. We'll still have full moon in Taurus with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, but at that time Mars will be already in a sign of Leo, so they will be opposing each other, Capricorn to Leo. So anyway, why did I even mention that is that we might think, just actually what I said last time, that isn't this what we're going through every Scorpio season? No, because not every Scorpio season we have Pluto in the sign of Capricorn on 29 degrees for the final time in our lifetimes. This is not every season. There is all this stuff that's coming up to the surface, which I already talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we might just want to brush it under the carpet and decide like, oh yeah, just okay, just deal with it for a little bit, and then it's going to go away and disappear. It's not gonna go away. And this is something that I've been really, 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 really noticing and struggling with, because every single time I come here, every single time I'm visiting my roots and my family, it's always the same story. And every single time I'm coming back, I expect the story to change. I expect the story to be different, because I've changed, I grown, I did the work. I expect, okay, everybody else is going to be different now, right? No, because obviously all these people play the roles they are supposed to play, and they are on their own journey, and they're going through their own process, and they might or might not awaken, and they might or might not awaken at the time where it might be in resonance with me or not, or whatever, like everybody is on their own journey. And the two words that's been coming up so frequently through a lot of my friends and people that I follow, actually especially my friends, because I am very fortunate that most of my friends are healers, and I am very privileged to every now and again be able to get some very priceless nugget of information, especially when I'm struggling with something. And this is what took place recently. And the two words that's coming up a lot are the self-acceptance and acceptance, and self-acceptance and self-compassion and compassion. And actually, as someone close to me pointed out, well, I think you need to have the self-compassion first before you can have the self-acceptance. Like, it doesn't really matter the order of things, but we know it all starts with self-awareness, right? We need to be aware, and this is something that I started saying last week in the video, which I removed before all these people started walking around, and then I kept being disrupted and didn't finish my thought. That before we can change anything, we need to become aware. The self-awareness is the first step, right? And then is the acceptance, and then we can, eventually things can change, but not through resistance, because this is something that I've noticed that I created my own suffering through, and something that I shared with my friends, and based on which she gave me this advice about acceptance and self-acceptance. Because I've noticed, I came back from America on a super high vibe. I just spent 1 month in beautiful Merlin La La Land. This completely fairy tale like, what did we call it? Piscean vortex, right? Like Piscean vortex place, falling in love, all the rest of it, and then just being dropped here. And normally I come to Slovakia from different places to this place, right? So the frequency difference was so huge, and but my body was holding up for the first 10 days until Wednesday last week, which is when I submitted the application for my citizenship. And then slowly my body was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. So what my friend said, because I said to her that, well, I've noticed that my battery got drained in like 1 week. Like I came on such a high frequency, and it just got drained in 1 week. Like, I can't believe it. I feel completely drained. And she said that it's because you are in resistance with the environment. You are in resistance because you're still waiting for things to be different. You're resisting being where you are, and you're resisting what is, which is why it costs you so much energy to be there, because you keep resisting the resistance. And just keep resisting. There is so much resisting that it burns all this energy to be just resisting, right? So anyway, it probably doesn't even make sense what I'm saying, but it somehow makes sense to me that my battery got drained very quickly, because I was in a situation I didn't want to be in, but I had to be in it, and I was resisting it. So, double whammy. And she said that, the main remedy for this is the acceptance. You need to accept what is, and you need to accept people for who they are. They're not gonna change, and you cannot expect people to change. So you need to accept what is, and if you can't accept it, then you need to plan accordingly next time. And this is the same story every single time the same story. And this is where the other element of the story, which came from a different person, the compassion and self-compassion comes, which is this, like when we then turn it against ourselves, or we have the opportunity to, go back within and inquire, which is what I was talking about in the last video, the Scorpio Taurus axis, with all the projections and everything taking us back within for exploration or investigation, better said, because we usually associate exploration with a Sagittarius exploring the outer horizons, but actually the inner horizons are just as important. So yeah, with this compassion and self-compassion, and this is also something that I had to face last week when I rewatched the video, and I was feeling like, oh, this is not right, I shouldn't have said that, this is actually not correct, it blah blah blah, and like just going into self-judgment, and also the aspect of vulnerability, like putting too much information out there and stuff like about myself, and stuff like that. So anyway, all the rest of it. So having the compassion and holding a space, and like in that case it was like, okay, I can recognize this aspect of myself, that wounded aspect of myself, which is still part of me, it's still part of who I am, and like holding a space for it. Also when my insecurity comes out in different relationships that I have, and holding a space for these aspects of myself, and being able to just accept it and have a compassion, right? Have a compassion for what is. Because another experience that I had was when I did the inner child healing meditation, and I realized all these things that I expect from other people, like in this case my parents, that are who they are and they can never be anybody else. And I had the opportunity to hold that child that I was, that was not necessarily treated the way that I would prefer for her to be treated and stuff. And now I can do it. It's just all these things which were coming up for me while I've been like feverish. And I don't even know how to articulate them for them to make sense, but I'm trying to use this moment when I don't have a headache to talk about this. So this is something that I had this realization, like when I was doing this meditation. It was actually from Milan Moritz, by the way. Inner child healing meditation is beautiful. And then, because I did mention in my previous video since I arrived that I had this massive pressure on my chest, like somebody sitting on my chest, and this is where it lifted. After I've done that meditation, I could feel a profound lift of that weight from my chest, this inner child, where I felt that it just needed me to hold her, to create this space for her, and to just accept all these aspects of myself that, yes, still exist and still playing out their roles, like still potentially having these expectations from these people who couldn't meet them and still can't meet them and stuff. And just like my friend advised, well, you need to accept them for who they are. And I feel that when we accept ourselves for who we are, when we can accept all these different aspects of ourselves which we don't want to accept because we don't like them, oh, there is a fish jumping out of the water, because we don't like them, because we are just like, I don't like this aspect of myself, this needy or this jealous or this whatever aspect, you name it. All these aspects of ourselves that we perceived as less adorable or less desirable. We don't want these aspects. We want just the other ones, the other ones, the happy ones, the ambitious one, the beautiful one, the overachieving one, whatever it is, these aspects, confident one, that's the one, that's the good one. These aspects of ourselves that are being praised, right? Whereas actually all of this is us, right? And actually none of it is us. None of it is us either, because we are a composite of everything that came before, which is everything, and none of it is really us. It's just a part of this experience while we're here, because the soul is pure, you know. The soul, yes, has its pure, unique soul signature, but none of these human characteristics, like it's really who we are, you know. They are just part of this journey, they are part of the human experience, but it is not who we are. So having the opportunity to just accept it, that okay, well, yeah, this is part of me, and then we have more, and having the compassion for ourselves while we're doing that, then it's easier to accept that in other people and have compassion for other people. So anyway, again, I'm just talking in circles without making much sense, and I don't know if it makes sense, and I hope it does, but this is something that's been so much on my mind in this past week, because it's so true. Like, as much as I understand all the theory and I talk about it all the time, when it is showing up in my life, especially with my family, it's like, whoa, no, we go to the default. We go to the wounding, we go to the inner child, we go to the default, and we forget about all of this. We forget about all of this, like what you're talking about, higher perspective, right? And yeah, and then also having one moment in time, one evening, the profound realization of actually seeing it maybe from their perspective, like how might it feel for them being who they are and not knowing any different, like, you know, like people, like in this case, you know, I'm talking about my parents, like unawakened, or maybe they are, who knows, you know, not the way that, you know, I want them to be, or I like, you know, or I think they should be, or I am, or whatever, you know. So let's just keep it simple for the linear purpose, like unawakened people, just, you know, people living normal life in matrix, not asking questions and stuff, just doing what they've always done and not changing or wanting to change anything, but wanting to complain about all of it. So anyway, but them perceiving me and how I live my life and how I'm acting when I come to visit and stuff, and how must it feel for them, like, oh well, you know, who does she think she is and stuff, or whatever, you know. So this is what I mean, that I just see it from my perspective, and like what everything they are not that I wish they were and stuff, and they probably look at me the same way and think the same thing, like, why is she that way? You know, why she has to be so difficult and so weird and stuff. And this is again where I feel like, you know, we cannot change other people. We can only change ourselves, and we can change our response to other people. And in theory, that all sounds great, right? In practice, especially when put in the surroundings of your, well, not just parents, but family and familial environment, it is not always so easy. So I really feel like, again, all the work has to be done from within, because when we do find that acceptance, self-acceptance, and compassion, self-compassion, you know, it starts from the self, and then it can be extended to the outer world. So would I have less resistance to what is, and be able to just accept myself and have a compassion, then perhaps, yes, I will have much more compassion for my parents and would be able to accept them for who they are and have less resistance. I mean, I don't know, seriously, it's just crazy. But the bottom line is understanding, you know, in all of that, understanding myself, knowing myself and knowing my needs, and also understanding my parents and their needs, and knowing what I know about them, and now understanding how the two are becoming more and more incompatible, the two energies, then yeah, like, what am I going to do about it? Because this is an ongoing thing, year after year after year, visit after visit after visit, when we are all experiencing the same emotions and situations and charge, I suppose, and it's just accelerating, because we know that the evolution is progressing, the changes are happening very rapidly, and will be much more so from 2026 summer, July 2026. This is where things are going to really blow up. So we don't have that much time left, and I can really feel how all these things are like coming to their crescendo, like to their point of climax where something has to give, something has to change. So now turning it more outwards, like where you might be experiencing that the things that's been, you know, coming around and around and around and around again, and okay, you deal with them for reason or season, and then they can just be put under the carpet or back into the wardrobe, and we can forget about them until, in this case, you know what I'm talking about, next visit to Slovakia, next visit to my parents, or whatever that is for you in your life, and then we have to revisit it and we have to deal with it, and very likely the energy has built up, you know, it intensified, the frequency misalignment had gone wider and vaster and stuff. So so how can we change it? Like, you know, how can we change this from happening and from being experienced the same way? Like, yes, having an awareness, having an acceptance, having a compassion, but then with regards to this inspired action, like what can I do? Another friend of mine, another very amazing healer, psychic, and a witch, just told me. She said, well, you just put intention for whatever you want, you know, and then you just let it be, you know, you just release it to the universe, because whatever you want wants you, you know, because why would you want it if it wouldn't want you back? Because this is how it works, right? So understanding the situation, understanding, okay, yes, this is something which is been happening for a long time, and I pretty much know how it's going to be going forward, you know, like, yes, we never know 100%, but there is enough evidence. So like, yeah, you know, what does this mean? You know, do I want to come visit for a week, you know, instead of like this time 3 weeks, which I know that I gone past my limits, because usually my limit is 2 weeks, and like I said, this time after 10 days my body started breaking down. So maybe 10 days, maybe 10 days is the new, you know, the new max. Perhaps 1 week would be ideal, whatever, you know, and that maybe would allow for more of this, like, oh yeah, you know, you can be whoever you want to be for a week, you know, like I'm fine, you know, it doesn't affect me all that much because I can handle it for a week. But then, as my friend advised, like, well, but what do you really want? You know, do you even want to go? Like, do you even want to visit? You know, or is it all just based on guilt and shame? Or do you actually want to see these people? Or what is it? You know, because again, a lot of us are like stuck in a situations with certain people because of what, obligation or a habit? Are these even people that we want to be with, that we actually have anything in common with anymore? Because you see, we change, and when we change, the people around us has to change in order for us to be able to grow and evolve. But in many cases, because we are so attached to what was, right, what was an old version of ourselves, we try to keep these relationships alive at any cost, you know, we want to keep them alive at any cost, and then everybody struggles. And this is the situation here, right? Because I want to just keep growing in certain direction, and that direction is getting me further and further and further away from where my family is, because this is not the direction they want to go into. So in order for us to I guess keep connected, every time I come back, I feel this, I need to lower myself to certain frequency to be able to stay in this vibration or in this frequency. And at the same time, I have a resistance against it because I don't want to do it, because I don't want it. So then it's like, well, what is the value? What is the value? Do I actually even want this connection then? What am I gaining from this connection? And we go like, oh yeah, but it's your family, you know, and blah, 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 and all the rest of it. But you know, we are all family. Just like my friend said yesterday, actually, this is a very good one. She said, like, but we are all family, you know, we are all connected, we are all human, you know, and when we're not human, we are all spirit, you know, we are all family, we are all one. So then how are these people that, you know, birth me, that we have the same blood and DNA, which is again, it's BS, because we all have the same blood and DNA. All the humans, you know, have the same blood and DNA. Like, yeah, you know, like each person is unique, but, you know, like blood is made of the same thing. It doesn't matter who you draw it from, right? Just the same way the inside of our body looks the same, right? So anyway, so this is all kind of like something we would say on automatic, because this is what we were being taught, you know. But it's your family, you know, family is not a water or it's blood or something. I don't know what all the sayings that go with it, but but we are all family, we are all connected, you know. So it's like, well, if actually I feel more connected and more like closer intimate connection with someone who is not my so-called biological family, then how does that makes them any less than my physiological family? Because what, we don't share the same blood or nationality or color of skin or whatever. I mean, who cares? Like at the age of Aquarius, none of this will matter, none of that will make any difference whatsoever. So anyway, so going back to the question, like, what is the value? You know, what is the value? Are my needs being met? Are their needs being met? Me being here, you know, taking space in a room that now become room for the grandchildren, and now, you know, I'm there, you know, so I'm kind of like, in a way, you know, I'm in their way, they in the way of my life. So it's like, so that's what I mean, you know, with the Scorpio season, these things which are, and in this case, you know, like we all have our things, you know, obviously, that are kind of like that thing that, you know, is still kind of like preventing you from getting where you want to go and stuff. And yeah, and for me is this huge thing that is this, like, I don't even know what to call it, but that's like, you know, like this big burden that I still feel that I'm, you know, like caring, like with regards to my family or something, you know. And I'm like, I even made that intention last week. I'm just, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just tired. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to play this game anymore, even though, you know, I'm not playing this game, at least from their perspective I am not, because I'm not doing what am I being told to do or asked to do or behave in the way that they expect me to do. But yeah, this is all just charades. This is all just charades and pretending, all of it. You know, how many people living the life this way, that, you know, for the sake of pretending and sake of keeping everybody happy, yeah, let's just get together as a family, go on family vacation with in-laws and everything, and then everybody hates it and everybody can't wait to be home and stuff. And how many people do it? How many people do it because this is what we do. This is what we have to do. This is what everybody has to do because this is what expected, and nobody wants to hurt anybody else's feelings and stuff. And then if nothing changed, nothing will change. If nothing changed, nothing will change. And yeah, and I'm a hypocrite because I do the same thing. You know, do I want to come to Slovakia to spend weeks with my parents? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I do it. Why do I do it? You know, well, yes, because they are my family, but B, because all my stuff is here. Like, all my stuff is here because I'm a digital nomad. I don't have place. So all my belongings, everything I own in this world is at my parents' place, right? So if nothing else, I need to come here to change my stuff, my clothes, depending where I'm going next. Am I going to warm country, cold country? Where am I going? You know? So yeah, so this is going back to what my friend advised yesterday. Well, you know, like, you need to decide what you want, what it is that you want, like, you know, and then there won't be this obligation. Oh, I have to come because my things are here, and I have to come because it's my family and I'm expected to come. You know, I'm expecting to come and see them, like, whatever, how many times a year or something, where actually I'm tired. I don't want to play these games anymore. I don't want to play this pretending and these charades that us as a humanity have been playing for so long. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to live my life and not to feel guilty for it, and not to feel obliged to be someone I'm not, and at the same time, and give myself permission, have the compassion and acceptance. Yeah, this is who I am, and this is what I want. Yeah, I'm changing all the time, and what I want changes with me, but this is the right here, right now. And at the same time, to also extend it to other people, accept this is who these people are, and having compassion for that, and just allow what is to be what is, right? But you know, we are all in resistance with something always, because it's so hard. It's so hard to accept what is. It is so hard. And we just want things to change, but we cannot change them without accepting them first. So it's like this catch-22. Like, no, I don't want to accept it. I'm in resistance to it. I want it to change. But how can it change if I can't, if I can't accept it, and if I'm resisting it by the law of attraction? What you resist persists. So as long as I keep resisting something, it will keep persisting, because I need to remove the charge. The charge has to be neutralized, and then we get to the 0 point from which a new energy can be created. So yeah, so this was my big musings of this past, what are we now, Wednesday, 6 days. 5-6 days, when I was going through being feverish on and off, and struggling with all these headaches which are still coming back, and yeah, just all this stuff, all this physical stuff that I never struggle with anything physical. My body is like pretty solid, pretty reliable, Taurus over here. But yeah, my body decided I am not doing that anymore. So that's what I mean, I'm saying I'm not doing this anymore, and my body is like, no, not me, I'm not doing this anymore. So yeah, so going forward, where do we go from here? Because this is the very last time Pluto is on 29 degrees of Capricorn. Where do we go from here? Next year, that will be a different scene. That will be a different scene. We're gonna have this Saturn, Uranus, Neptune going back and forth, 25, 26. So yeah, we need to really decide, and this is different things for different people, different things to different people. But how much longer, how much longer do any of us want to live this way? Whatever that is for you. For me, this, this back and forth. Yes, I absolutely love traveling. I absolutely love it. But I don't want to not have a home and be just living off the suitcase with all my stuff and my parents, and just having to come to Slovakia every few months to change my stuff and at the same time having to participate in the energy of the environment, which is not compatible with my energy. So yeah, so like I said, we all have something that is coming up to the surface very strongly, very intensively, and we no longer can brush it under the carpet or expect it to go away. Go away, and we don't have to deal with it anymore. It's not gonna go away, because this is 29 degrees Capricorn Pluto. Pluto is not gonna go away. Pluto is going to Aquarius, and it's not coming back to Capricorn. And Uranus is going into Gemini next year. So it's saying, you have to make a choice, because this choice is going to start manifesting very quickly. So going forward, what do we want? What do we want? Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini. That's why so many old belief systems, all of it is coming up. Just like I was saying in the video where I deleted, where my messages don't get answered, and and I said like, oh, now I just message myself, never mind. But how many stories are coming through my mind where my messages don't get answers, and and this is what's going on through a lot of people's minds. When you message someone and the person doesn't message you, or doesn't respond or something, and we start making up stories. And these stories are most of the time not even the truth, but we start making them up, and we start believing them, and we start acting up on them, and then we make them self-fulfilling prophecy, because we are these strong manifestors. So actually, what happened with that story, with the story of the messages? when I spoke to that person, I actually told that person, do you know what goes through my mind when you don't respond to my messages? Let me tell you the stories that are going through my mind. And perhaps that was very helpful for the person to hear. You know, my friends thought it was hilarious when I told her. But yeah, like for how long do we just want other person to start, you know, like reading our mind or to expect to know what we are thinking or something? So yeah, you know, I guess everything has to change. You know, the way we relate has to change. We already talked about it, but also the way we communicate have to change. Because if we don't start asking questions, we're not gonna get answers, you know. So if we just start assuming and creating stories based on the past, which will create the same story. So you know, because we know that everything that already is in existence is just outcome of the past thoughts. So, you know, like whatever, so like this situation, you know, something like somebody doesn't respond to my message. Okay, let's go, you know, brain. What does this mean? And everything that's going to get produced from the brain is whatever happened in the past, right? So those are past stories. They are not new stories. They are not present stories. They are past stories. But because now I'm projecting them into the present, they're going to become future stories, right? So how about I just stop that process and actually go and ask that person like, hey, listen, you know, I've noticed you didn't respond to my message. Do you want me to tell you what stories are going through my mind? So then you can actually tell me if this is true or not, you know? And then we can like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, whatever the person responds. And then you can actually potentially create a different story in that moment rather than projecting the past into the present and then future. So yeah, how else we gonna change the future? You know, create a different future. How else we going to do it? We need to start being present and asking question, you know, shooting things, holes into these belief systems and these stories that are not even our stories in many cases, as we know. It's just something we heard somewhere and we adopted it or we took it as our truth. And now is the opportunity to reevaluate everything. Jupiter is retrograde and Jupiter and Mercury are going to have 3 oppositions because Mercury is just about to move into Sagittarius after the new moon in Scorpio, and it's going to have a retrograde there. And during Mercury's retrograde in Sagittarius, before that as well, during Mercury's stay in Sagittarius, Mercury is going to have 3 opposition with Jupiter. So there's going to be this mutual reception situation going on times 3. And this is to help us. This is to help us to ask questions and reevaluate the thoughts, the stories, and the realities that are built on these thoughts and stories. And this is part of everything, because everything is part of everything. This is part of this 29 degrees of Capricorn, this new moon in Scorpio that is, you know, under the influence of this beautiful water trine and this beautiful kite times 2. And from what I can remember from the chart, the grand mystic rectangle that's going on as well. So there is so much divine support. There is, oh my gosh, I have a ladybird. There is so much support, I'm telling you. So much support. Look at that flower right behind me. So much support available to us from every single direction. Oh, and there is a branch breaking too. Okay, guys, this is all happening in real time in nature, so do excuse. There is so much support available to us, and this is all helping us to tune inside, tune within. That's why I felt so strongly to go to the water. I need to go to the water today. I need to sit next to the water, and that's actually something that's helping me with the headache. The water, you know, the shower on my head. It's really helpful to wash it all off, to wash it all clean. Yeah, all these emotions that just wants to flow through and to be released, to be purified. So, you know, once all this water flow through, then we're gonna have the Sagittarius season, all this fire of purification that's going to become available, and that's going to be to reevaluate these stories and create new ones, right? Because then it's gonna be the Sagittarius new moon at the beginning of December. And yeah, and so it goes. But we know that we cannot keep going forward with the same patterns. it is just not possible. It is just not available. And this is, you know, why I feel that for me here, for me personally, having this experience now during this visit, this was probably one of the hardest visits I've had for a long time, even though I might say that every time. I might say that every time, but I had never felt this physically unwell. I am not someone who has headaches ever. Oh my gosh, what's going on with all of these flying things and all of these leaves flying now? Yeah, I am not someone who struggles with headaches, and this was just excruciating for me because, you know, I need my head to do anything. So, mind you, even that is questionable. Spirit would say you don't really need your head, you know, your brain. But yeah, you know what I mean. If you have a headache, if you have a, like, literally to the point of almost migraine, that, yeah, you know, there is not much channeling that's going to be happening. But yeah, also my dreams been being crazy, you know, the visions that been coming through my dreams and stuff. So definitely there is a lot of release that has to take place. There is a lot that needs to be processed, because we need to keep moving forward. Yeah, I just really don't think it's possible. I really don't think these copy-paste situations is possible anymore. Situations are possible anymore. Like in this case, that's why, like, they are just becoming more and more unbearable, because we know, like, how bad, right? How bad does it have to get? How far do we want to go? All the way, right? So yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we need to go any further. So anyway, so going forward from here, where we going to go, that depends on each individual and what they want to experience. So we go back to that question my friend asked me, well, what do you want, you know? Where do you want to be? How do you want to live? You know, what is your desire? And then just allow your higher self to work out the path, you know, to work it out, you know. You don't need to know all the steps towards it. You just decide what you want, because what you want wants you, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be wanting that. And it just sounds so simple, right? But then the ego freaks out, like, oh, but how can I control it? How can I control the outcome? But, you know, I want it to look exactly like this, you know, let me give you all the details and let me change it 10 times, you know, or 100 times. And it's even like, I watched a video from Abraham Hicks today. And they said, like, oh yeah, we heard you the first 150 times you asked for that. You know, but like, you know, trying to find out what it is in us that is, yeah, blocking, just like, you know, that quote from Rumi I repeated a million times already and butchered it each time. You know, don't look in, remove that obstacle, you know, that is preventing you from receiving that. Don't go looking for it. So yeah, you know, and at the same time still being able to find the gratitude, you know, to be able to recognize all the gifts, the attitude of gratitude that can shift everything, right? You know, just like a lot of people might be thinking, well, you know, you should be grateful, you still have parents, right? There is that. And I know they are good people and they're doing the best they can, the way they know how, the way they were being programmed, you know. And them observing someone like me that is a complete challenge to their reality, complete challenge to their matrix. And we know that some people, they're not here to wake up. That is not the role they came here to play. And you know, and we cannot expect someone else or force someone else, you know, to do something that they might not be here to do. And also the people that are going to wake up, you know, and for people who might still remember how it was for them, like how their entire reality fractured. And imagine, like, you know, just with everything else that's going on, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's a lot to expect from someone. Mosquitoes. Okay guys, almost 45 minutes, so I'm gonna just close this down because again, you know, I'm just talking in circles and always doubting myself if anything that I said made any sense and stuff. But I just felt inspired to talk and share some musings and some things that's been coming up, and perhaps other people are experiencing something. I'm not saying the same thing as me, but you know, this pattern, this 29 degrees Capricorn Pluto, you know, with all this scorpionic energy of stuff coming from the deep cellars, deep chambers of our shadows. It's all coming out, it's all coming out, it all want to be seen, you know, things that we didn't see for years or decades, you know, the aspects of ourselves that we even forgot we had, you know, still hiding within us. And now we have the opportunity to go and get shocked again, go, you know, like all like, oh my God, you know, I can't believe this is still part of me, you know, and just reject it again, all over again. And then, you know, it just, this time we can't, it has to be integrated, all of it, you know, we have to become whole again. Everything has to be neutralized so the new can be created, so the new path can start off unfolding for us without these old elements perpetually expressing themselves. So anyway guys, 45, just as I looked, we have the 2 9s. We are already frequently dipping into the year number 9, which is the next year, which is the year of culminations. So yeah, we know the North Node is going to be in Pisces, so that is about a lot of closings of cycles. Okay guys, I wish you all a wonderful Halloween tomorrow, and I'll speak to you again whenever I can speak to you. Okay, bye everyone and have a great day.